Pisces full moon and Virgo season energy reading. Photo courtesy of Astro Athens. Hey beautiful souls, welcome back to the With Love Cole YouTube channel. Here you'll find tons of information on wellness, motherhood, human design, esoterics, and so much more. A bit about my pregnancy and family life, as well as my living guidance as a 3-5 self-projected projector. Just sharing my human design and lived experience. Also check out my CMOS shop at Cole Apothecary, where I make plant-based goods, and you can find me on all platforms at With Love Cole. So I was about to start recording the full moon video for you guys, and my baby was ready to come back home. So I'm meeting them at the pool. So it's kind of cool because the moon is bringing me to the pool, and the moon is actually the full moon is happening like right now. It's like 7:30 I think, and it starts at 7:44. So pool views for the full moon. Let's get them. Hey, pool views for the full moon.
Yes.
With Indie Moon. She had fun at the pool? Hey beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nicole. I'm a wellness entrepreneur and so much more, as you guys seen in my trailer. And today I'm back with a video on the Pisces full moon and the overall energy for the next week or 2 weeks as we are going into new moon. So I'm going to talk to you guys about the Pisces full moon, how we are affected by the human design transits, because we have gate 40 and we also have gate 37 transiting during the time of this energy at its peak. We also have a supermoon, and we know supermoons are when the moon is showing a greater illumination, an illumination of around 10% greater than usual, which means it feels like it's closer because we are getting more light from the moon. So it's going to be a really exciting time. We also have the blue moon, and when we have a blue moon is basically when you have 2 full moons in 1 month. So it is not something that occurs very often, but when it does, it's radical, right? It's rare, and when something is rare, it's usually because it's very auspicious and it brings on sudden changes or even new revelations. And those are just a few of the themes of this coming or this recent full moon. So according to the Old Farmer's Almanac, this full moon is happening at 7:44 p.m. on Wednesday, August 30th, 2023, and I am based in the United States, so that is what the time I'm giving you guys is based off of. The full moon will reach its peak at around 9:36 p.m. and I am really grateful that I get the moonlight directly through this window. So I was able to put my glass of water and I can have some moon water, and which I did have before this reading, so that I can be more in tune with the energy of the moon. And also, we are literally made of water and light. So connecting to those elements is really great around this time, especially with Pisces being a water sign. And Pisces, like the fish, is very illusory, and it's also very much like divine feminine energy as well as dark feminine energy, because the water, a lot of times people think of femininity as being warm and nurturing, and there are definitely elements of that within being feminine, but it's also cold and guarded and sensitive and moody, and possibly sometimes even fickle, because moody people tend to be temperamental or even guarded. So when we have these energies running through Pisces, we also are talking about the themes of self-sabotage, karmic energy, past lives, because Pisces is ruled by the 12th house, and the 12th house we know is about isolation, self-sabotage, the psyche, our spiritual world. So these themes are coming up heavily, specifically when we have a blue moon, a full moon, and then also a super moon. So it's more illuminated, it's closer to the earth, and it's in a water sign. And we know the moon rules the tides. So a mantra that I have for the Pisces full moon is integrating the lessons. And I create these videos for the new moon and full moon. So you can definitely go back to the new moon video in Leo that I recently put up, where I talk about the ending of karmic cycles. And then now we are talking about integrating the lessons that we've learned through those endings and through the release of that. Again, release goes back to the energy of gate 40, which is the gate of aloneness. So it's about choosing to shift our energy from one place, or even person, place, thing, and move it into our inner world, our personal self-development, our own energy. So now let's hop into the themes that I've written for this full moon in Pisces. We have illumination. As I said, it's a super moon, so the moon is way brighter and it's more illuminated and it feels closer. The energy is more potent, and we know when we have full moons, because it's more illuminated, people tend to be out. Crazier things tend to happen around the full moon. My mom even she used to be a labor and delivery nurse, and she often talked about babies being born, or like more unique circumstances of how the babies came to be born happening during the full moon. So it is a very lively energy. We also have akashic records. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in the end of the video, because I really want to leave you guys with an idea speaking about the akashic records. But one thing I will say is that because akashic records holds, basically, it's like a library of the collective consciousness. And I often like to relate the akashic records to the internet, because I view it in a similar way, that it's literally us pouring all our thoughts, our energy, and our will into devices and into this system that now is holding this library of information and data and showing us ourselves. I literally just got off the phone with my cousin earlier, and she was talking about TikTok and how like she loves that TikTok shows herself back to herself, right? And I was like, yeah, girl, it's showing you your subconscious mind. Also very Pisces, very 12th house energy. So yeah, think about that this month. Like, what is your world reflecting back to you? It also could be a really good time to do some mirror work. Another theme is shifting. I previously mentioned this. We also have revelations, because all those major revelations tend to cause the shift. A shift, and you even think about how I just said it in the vibration of the word, it's quick and it changes course. So very much so, you may be changing course, making radical decisions. We also have energy of Uranus of playing out here in this month. So please think about that. Like, what major revelations or shifts are you getting, and how are you going to act according to that revelation? Next, we have surrender, because life is truly about surrendering into the moment. And because Pisces rules the 12th house and it's about the spiritual world, how can we surrender into the knowing that we don't actually know everything, and that there is a mysterious side to life, and there's a mystery that's played out, and that we usually and many times have to walk a path of feeling lost before we get to a new space of clarity. And even that new space of clarity, it's just leading us to another space of questioning or seeking, because that's literally the wheel of life, the cycle of life. We have breakdown. This month is filled with retrogrades. We also have Mars into Libra, and Mars is action oriented. It's also very self-oriented. So when we have this energy in Libra, which is the house or zodiac that rules partnerships, now we are seeing a breakdown of family, but we also are seeing conversations around the breakdown of family, which I think is really, really helpful for the collective. Also, I'll just say here really quick, I've been thinking about creating some videos with Jack talking about what it's like having a baby, being in a newer relationship and having a child out of wedlock, and also being happy in a healthy relationship, and how those interesting dynamics and nuances can really affect the family. But also, we don't see conversations on it as much, because people tend to talk about married couples or treat people who are not married as like not a family. And we know that as society is shifting and we are seeing different ways that family and community is being built out, I think it's really good for people to see that family can look different. Family can also be healthy even though it looks different. And as I've talked all about that, another theme is observation. What are we observing this month? And that goes back to reflecting on things. As Pisces again is in the 12th house, it's kind of the energy of all the zodiac signs in one sign, and it's also very mutable. So being open to change and being open to the shifts will help you surrender. It'll help you observe. And another theme is tap into spirit. So spirit, you will be able to connect to spirit and the divine because you are now being and living and just moving through the world, knowing that you do have a deeper purpose and knowing that things will be found out through that exploration and that journey of aloneness and also in community. And then we also have the themes, lastly, of familiarity and integration. So, integrating the lessons, as I mentioned in the mantra, and then familiarity, because we are ending karmic cycles, we may be getting bits of the past that feels like it's lingering. It could be through a sign. For me, parrot has been a sign, and birds could be a sign for you. It can also be through auspicious things like seeing feathers. Again, that's bird related, but these are the signs that I was seeing. And we know that birds are very like mystical creatures because they kind of just appear out the blue and then they disappear. And I think that's why they tend to be a good way of giving us omens or messages and signs from the universe. So as I've talked about, a lot of planets are in Mercury retrograde because it's meant for you to reassess, it's meant for you to resolve things, it's meant for you to realign. So Mercury being retrograde is always a great time to go back to things you've done. It's also a great opportunity to even get responses about things that have been delayed. If something was delayed during a period of Mercury retrograde previously, and then now it rolls around later in the year that again in Mercury retrograde you're hearing good news about it, it tends to be an opportunity that's really good for you or in alignment with you. But also know that people know this. People know now, there's a lot of people who are learning astrology and they know these transits are happening and know that someone who is empathetic or sensitive are aware of these transits. So be wary of people who may be manipulative, especially because Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and Neptune is the planet of illusion and delusion, things not being seen clearly. So know that if you are ever unclear about something or unsure, it can always be a no until it's a yes. Nothing has to be a yes right away. So before I jump into the human design gates, I'm going to talk about some writing prompts just to get your mind rolling, because as I talk about human design gates and transits, I'm talking about the gene keys. And when you're learning about your DNA, it also helps with altering and changing your DNA. So I want to get the writing prompts to you so that you guys can think about this as you are learning how the human design gates are affecting you. Writing prompt number 1. How am I practicing emotional regulation? When we are dealing with water energy, our emotions can be very fluid. So we can flow like water or we can crash like the waves. So really be mindful of what ways you self-soothe or what ways you self-care, and know that there is a difference between self-soothing and self-caring, and also a difference between good and bad habits. So part of emotional regulation is knowing that you can't self-soothe to the point of self-deprecation or self-sabotaging and then all of a sudden like self-care and try to like mask it, because that's also a form of Neptunian energy, the escapism energy. And as we are working on this path of self-development, self-actualization, we have to be aware of that energy. Next prompt, when can I create time to process my day? Really important to spend time processing your day, because when you take time to process your day, you're more likely to make clear decisions. And that processing really helps with the emotional regulation you need to survive in this world, because anything can happen at any point, at any time in your life. And again, I know I talk about my birth a lot, but when you go through something like that, you are like, wow, your body can go through things and be one way one day and another way the next day. So that daily check-in with yourself is really going to help with that ability to heal and that ability to be stable in your mood and stable in your emotions. The next prompt is, how is my childhood experience different from others, and how does that affect me now? I had a very unique childhood. I grew up Jehovah's Witness and I left when I was 18. And because of that, I didn't realize how different my upbringing in my life was compared to other people. And it did make me very naive. It made me kind of, I feel like a bit naive to the energy and the possibility of narcissism and narcissistic people and what that looks like when it's played out, and also the trauma that can cause people to feel that way. So coming into the world very unaware, I had to learn, and I also had to transmute the trauma and the shame that also made me feel like, wow, like I don't know anything, or maybe I made a mistake, when that really was just also programming and religious shame. So these really deep psychological themes may be coming up for you, and it's all about taking the time to process it. That'll really help you transmute it. Dealing with karmic relationships and narcissistic abuse can be extremely traumatizing. So I really want to suggest that you learn about narcissism and also like read the 48 Laws of Power. So I'm going to link Dr. Amani, which is a doctor who talks about narcissistic abuse on YouTube, and she makes a lot of great videos on this and how to heal and how to deal. I'm also gonna link, crap, I just forgot it. Actually, maybe I forgot for a reason. I'm gonna link another creator's pick a card video about dealing with intense karmic relationships and how to heal, because I know as someone who's dealt with that, her video is extremely healing and can really help you get closure you need to know that that wasn't supposed to happen to you. And like, yeah, people do deal with the karma of their actions. Best and believe, if someone can treat you horribly, know that their world is pretty horrible, because anyone that is a good-hearted person or has a good life, has a fulfilled life, cannot act out certain things and do certain things without a conscience. Next and last writing prompt is, what intuitive hunch am I not listening to? This is super deep. I had an intuitive hunch a while ago about a situation and how I should move. And I hadn't honored that hunch because of people pleasing, because of genuine empathy for people, because of, just like natural humanness. I think as someone who's always needed to work on being a more forgiving person and getting over grudges, sometimes you might fall into the trap of being too open and too forgiving and too allowing yourself to deal with things that do not fit within the boundaries that you want to have for your life. And I find it really, really crucial to be mindful of those boundaries, because that was the biggest learning lesson was, oh, I ignored that intuitive hunch because I thought I was being a do-gooder, and I thought I was being someone who, was someone who was showing what true care, someone who's someone who's showing true care. And I realized that like you can show true care, but if those boundaries aren't being honored, or if you don't feel like that environment, that person, that thing is safe, then you should not have it around you. If it is making you emotionally unstable, if it throws you off of your well-being journey, then it's definitely not something for you. And that is why I kind of wanted to cover the prompts before talking about the gates, because now we're going to talk about how do we change that by learning about our genes and learning about the transits. So we have our conscious sun transiting gate 40 in human design, and gate 40 is known as the gate of deliverance. It's also known as the gate of release because you do have to release things that are no longer for you in order to be delivered into your self-actualized self, your higher self. So I'm going to read you guys what I wrote for Gate 40 because I write these posts for Instagram. And then I'm going to read you guys what I wrote for Gate 37 and talk about the energies. So for Gate 40, the gate of aloneness, and this gate is about divine will and the highest frequency of it. It's about having the spirit of, I'm going to do this regardless. It says, rest and recharge is a major theme for this month. Rest is not just about sleeping, but prioritizing regeneration of the mind, body, and spirit, because we know that the shadow of this gene key is exhaustion. And we see that many people are running on this frequency, which is why they haven't been best for being in community with or best to serve. And a lot of times these people tend to be self-sacrificing or people-pleasing, but we see that this energy actually can be very harmful because if you're not taking care of yourself, you can definitely impact your friends, your family, your associates and coworkers to causing them trauma and not realizing it. So it says, choosing solitude this month may be extremely helpful for processing your trauma, opening the heart, and releasing attachments. Self-accountability and accepting your current reality can make life easier, as well as reveal some deep hidden truths. Like, again, because I had to even look at previous life circumstances and situations and tell myself, the only way I don't repeat this lesson is if I learn the lesson, which means what did I do to create this? How did I and this person end up on the same fractal? End up in the same community? Because if I feel like I am nothing like this, yet I'm around this, how? And that's another thing. Big thing to do this month. I would recommend cord cutting, cutting ties, and cutting energy if it is something that is really harmful and unhealthy for you. So know that that's good because time alone can also be fun and productive. As the world moves to prioritize the individual, focus heavily on the self-development and your self-improvement in personal matters this month. And that is big because as Gate 40 talks about, and also we know the energy of Aquarian energy, which is kind of where we're moving to the age of Aquarius, is all about being able to be self-sufficient, be an individual, take care of ourselves. So now is the time to really look into that. Like, how can I spend more time alone? Because I guarantee you need more time alone, which means start carving out that time, because the only way you can break out of the molds of the world is know that you have to carve out what is you. I had to realize I'm definitely not a Jehovah's Witness. That's just not my lifestyle, right? But I'm also definitely not like a devout Christian either, because at first that was my journey. And then I had to know that I'm actually someone who believes in omnism. I believe that all beliefs can be valid and can be supportive of the universe if they are beneficial for the overall development on the all holistic levels of humanity. So emotional, spiritual, mental, physical, all of that. If your beliefs fall into that, then I'm sure that I can be open to it and I can rock with it. And that's my belief. And that really what it comes down to. You create your beliefs, nobody else. And you can be a part of an organization and choose to do that, but know there's at some point in your life, you're going to have to realize there is a journey of aloneness. No organization can save you. No cult can save you. Cults have been a big theme with Saturn and Pisces and Gate 37 transiting the gate of the family. So yeah, take that time. Learn who you are, because if you are not in control of who you are, someone else is. Now let's talk about Gate 37, the gate of the family. I know that was a shift, but I think these programming partners and programming partners in general are great to see because that's what they do. They meld together to bring us that polarity and reflect life to us. So gate 37, I wrote the programming partner to gate 40 is the gate of aloneness, is the energy for healthy communication and strong boundaries, as this is the foundation of the community. The community starts with the nuclear family, so this month, focus on your relationships with your family and equality. The shadow of this Pisces gate is escapism, hiding your emotions or the reactive energy of emotional outbursts and projections. Being part of a community means adding value and knowing that all things and people can be valued. With the moon in Pisces this month, consider the value systems and family structures. How can your energy be more in service to the divine? Because your energy is definitely of service wherever you choose to put it, right? But the gift of gate 40, which is the gate of resolve, the gift to get through things and do it with your full heart and attention. Also, gate 40 is ruled by the heart center. So whatever you have the resolve to do, you will accomplish. It actually reminds me of the scripture, Philippians 4:13, which says, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And that is true, right? That is true. If you have the divine will and the resolve to do it, you can do it. Also, because I'm talking about the nuclear family, and I also talked about some things like self-sabotage and perceptions, I do want to talk about this energy when it comes to generational curses and breaking generational curses. When we are able to prioritize our energy and channel it in the right way and the correct way in service to the divine, we are prioritizing bringing our community and our family to the forefront. And that truly what ends up being the beauty of having gate 37 and gate 40 transiting together, because you have someone who has gone through the journey of aloneness through community, finding different communities, but kind of being a floater as you come to know yourself. And then you get to a place of, I know myself now. I can integrate this into where I'm meant to give my energy, give my time, give my money, give my services. So I talk about YouTube a lot. I'll plug my other video here, why you should start a YouTube channel, because it has been a very big journey of understanding solitude and being alone, but it also has been a journey of finding community and creating community and speaking to people who directly love the things that I love. And knowing that that is why sometimes the relationships you have fall apart and things crumble and it feels sad. It's not so much that it wasn't meant to happen, but it was so much more that you were meant to evolve. You were meant to grow. It was not going to serve you long term, but you wouldn't become the person you are unless you experienced that. If I hadn't had the pain of not necessarily having friends who I felt truly saw me or understood me, or going through major life changes and like literally shifting my life where I had to surrender to my new identity and then find community within that identity, or having to, you know, understand spirituality and religion on my own so that I can understand that I wanted to have a very clear and personal relationship with God and not one that was taught to me or conditioned to me. So if you're experiencing those things, that's this energy, that's the full moon, that's the illumination. We're not going to have another one of these until 2037, so feel free to save this video and watch it again as you're experiencing any other Pisces transits in your natal chart, because yeah, you may have a correlation to what's happening 6 months from now to what happened around the time of this full moon. So now that I've gotten all deep and talked about lots of different things that happened around the full moon. I want to talk about some self-care because when we talk about really hard topics like family, like trauma, like narcissistic abuse, we definitely want to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves in a healthy way. So, self-care prompts that I've written. Disconnect, choose a day of solitude. With gate 40 transiting, this is a great time to disconnect. And as this video is being recorded, in the next 24 hours, the sun will be moving into gate 40.4 in human design, which is the gate of deliverance and the energy of reality checks when it comes to our interpersonal relationships. So yes, it's cuffing season, but it's cutting season. Next is cry, because water holds memory. So when you cry, you release that energy from your body and you release those memories. And now, when you restore and you rejuvenate yourself, regenerate yourself with more water, more whole foods, you're now feeling like a new person because you literally don't have that cellular data of that trauma or those emotions that you once held. Next is build a self-love altar, and it's crazy because I wrote that down and then the next day pulled a card for myself and it was the same card from the self-care tarot deck that I love to pull cards from. So you can check out my self-care messages as well, but I highly recommend you taking a moment to make a self-care altar, whether it be items that you like, a piece of jewelry that you like, with a crystal that you like, and you can bring that energy because metal holds energy. So now you can get the energy from the crystal and the metal as you wear and adorn your body with this jewelry. So yeah, there's so many ways that you can create a self-love altar. It could be the way you just adorn yourself in the morning, or doing some type of beauty ritual and setting up a space for it though. And that's how you honor and commemorate it. And I talked a lot about reflection. So another self-care prompt is reflect on the last 12 months. This is a major full moon. So as I mentioned, you may want to check this out for the future, but you also may want to check out what this full moon may be impacting from your past and wrapping up. And you also may have already received those very clear and aware signs. I love that my dishwasher's running. Because it's been actually pretty quiet, but now hearing the water, it's kind of like clean it up. That's the energy I'm getting. Clean it up. Reflect so that you can clean it up and integrate the lessons. I felt like I was very channeled there. I was like, lastly is use music to reprogram your subconscious mind. I will try to add something below for you guys. I've been using music here and there to reprogram my subconscious mind, and it's been really healing and amazing. So this video has been super long. I covered a lot of things. I hear that my baby might be waking up. So I am going to just wrap this up with kind of leaving you guys with the main thing, because I was talking about the akashic records, and I feel like I kind of scanned through them as I've made this video and talked about all these very micro and macro topics, right? But the Akashic records, they say that at the bottom of the Sphinx is the Hall of Records, and it's supposed to be the Akashic records. And we know that there's the expression as above, so below. So some people think that it might be space. Some people think that it might be ocean. I want to know in the comments below, what do you think is down below the Sphinx? Why do you think it was built? I'm a right angle cross of the Sphinx. So I feel like part of my journey here is uncovering this riddle of life and this mystery, and also getting the collective consciousness to do so. So if you want to add that information of what do you think is in the Hall of Records, I personally think it's similar to a museum. And it probably just has books and information that is now showing up on the internet, or things that we think are modern that have actually always existed in our consciousness. I do hope that one day we do find out what was down there and more information about it. And also, ancestrally, I'm curious to find out more about my connection as a right angle cross of the Sphinx, but also my connection to Egypt. as someone who is African, you know, and of African origin. So I will, luckily she was still sleeping. Maybe she was just slowly starting to wake. But I will wrap this video up here. Let me think of an emoji. I love that the YouTubers have you guys leave emojis. I'm a YouTuber, so I'm gonna do that. Leave a pharaoh face. I feel like that's an emoji. Leave a pharaoh face on this video as we are diving deep, uncovering hidden truths, and unlocking new ways of being, information about life, new levels of consciousness, and new levels of ourself. So I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next new moon video coming in the next 2 weeks, as well as feel free to check out my other videos. Feel free to check out my CMOS shop. I've been making videos on YouTube for the past 2 years, and I know that I'm making a library of content that will be revisited because I make videos that are timeless, filled with tons of information in hopes to share with you. And I'm gonna add one more Easter egg, because if you made it to 38 minutes of this video before editing, then I have in my notes that I wanted to share with you guys to check out the message from Spiritualistic, which is a tarot account that shares tarot oracle messages. I love her account. She's shown up a lot on my feed recently, and a lot of the messages have been crazy spot on for me, which means that it might also be great for my fractal and people who are part of my community here. So it is this month's oracle message that she posted, and it's a message from Gaia. I'm gonna link it if you made it to the end. And then I did have a song for empowerment. As I was dancing around with Indy yesterday and breaking my own traumas around my throat chakra and things people have told me about my voice and sharing it, I was listening to Superchick, One Girl Revolution, which you guys might know from the movie Cadet Kelly, which is a Disney movie that like is very nostalgic for me and anyone who's my age. I ain't telling y'all, but y'all figure it out. And then I also want to recommend the song Only Shooting Stars Break the Mold. I can't remember the name of that, but I'm gonna probably look it up when I make this video, edit the video and add it. So those are the little Easter eggs if you've made it this far. Again, you can save this video and watch it over and over because this is a major transit and these themes we may be experiencing for many years to come. So again, love you. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.